Hello and welcome along to a video about my favourite 4K films. I've owned a 4K player for about a year now, and I've been collecting for that year, and I've got about 80 titles in total, but I've watched 26 of them up until now. And at this point I'd just like to tell you what I think is the best 4Ks that I've looked at. It wouldn't be the best 4Ks of all time because I haven't watched all of the 80 yet. And there might be some of them films that I would never get that might be a better one, but this list is the ones that I've personally watched, and I do rate them as a very good upgrade on a Blu-ray, and I do usually take it from picture quality first. That's what I look at first. Sound quality, yes, of course you want good sound quality, but for me, when I see a good picture quality, I know that I've spent well and I've been a good purchase on the 4K format. That being said, the bottom of the list at the moment is Halloween 4K. Now, by no means is this a bad film or a bad release. It's a pretty good release. It's just that the colour palette in it isn't really... I think it could have been a bit brighter, but apparently that's the way it was shot. It's meant to be in October, so maybe that's why they went for that palette. It could be slightly better, I think, but it's not a bad one. And the dark details are quite good. But anyway, that's just to say that's bottom of the list, but by no means is it something I wouldn't recommend. Okay, so that being said, this is the top 10 that I have of June 2020. So at number 10 there's La La Land. I wouldn't have said that I would ever be a fan of this film, but it's not a bad film, and obviously on the 4K format the picture quality is really sharp and it pin sharp. The colours are very good on it. It's something that drew us to it, especially the opening scene, the dancing on the cars. That's unbelievable. And the film itself, it's a jazz film, which I would have thought there's no way on earth you'd be getting me watching a jazz film. But yeah, I find it pretty good. I find it pretty well done. Good ending. But yeah, so number 10 would be La La Land. At number 9, I have the original Blade Runner. Now, I was never a real fan of this back in the day because the film was that dark that I couldn't really see what was going on. And this used to be a bit annoying because I thought, well, am I missing something here? I don't really get it. It wasn't my cup of tea. But on watching this, I was looking at reviews online, and they said that this was a really good, solid review. They'd been 35mm. It would look great, so I went for it. I've already watched 2049 Blade Runner. I think it's a great film, and I haven't watched it on 4K yet. I just watched it on Sky in HD, and it was great. But I'm looking forward to watching 2049. But for me at this moment, the darkness is a problem solved on this release, and it shows you what you can achieve in the 4K spectrum, where a film that usually is too dark to watch for some people can be a film that you can enjoy, and you can actually see what's going on, and you can be a part of the picture and that in it. So for me, that's why it's number 9. Probably when I watch 2049 it'll surpass this, but as for an old film, it's pretty good. Now number 8 is a brand new release, basically. Joker, which is a great film. Probably everybody who's seen it would more or less say the same, unless they were expecting a proper superhero movie, which they won't get, but they will get an alternative universe version of a film that's more like dealing with mental health than most things, and the picture quality is unbelievable. Most new films are, but this one was just that extra little bit sharp. The colours are amazing. The soundtrack, which I find really good, not the songs, more like the soundtrack side of it, I find it very engaging, and I think that the performance of the Joker is obviously Joaquin Phoenix is amazing. So for that, it's one of the new films that I thought, wow, I saw this at the pictures as well, and it really lives up to everything. So coming in on number 7 on the list is Elephant Man. Now this is the brand new release from Studio Canal, who are doing a really good job with the 4Ks at the minute. The Blu-ray in here is a brand new Blu-ray. It's struck off the 4K in here, so it is an upgrade. If you have the original Blu-ray or a form of the original Blu-ray or DVD, it's a massive jump up on the Blu-ray, and the 4K is taken it to another level. I watched this film in many formats. The first ever bit of physical media I bought was a what is it called again? Sorry, I'm just having to think about this. The pre-cert video from Thorn EMI. I'll be doing a video on some Elephant Man stuff in the future, but you can't go past this release. It's stunning. The black and white is unbelievable, as you can imagine. So highly recommended. The packaging is just unreal. But so that's the best version of the Elephant Man. It's great to see a black and white in the top 10. Now this one here that's coming in number 6, people who know us would think, what am I thinking of? But I do like like computerized CGI films, like all that type of thing, Toy Story and whatever. And this one here is something that features, I remember seeing this video of this, a review of this online. I thought, well, I'll have to check that out. Mind you, you can't get it in UK. You've got to go to the US. So I had to import it. Well, it was eBay. Paid 18 quid for it, but I just wanted to see what the fuss was all about. And this has got IMAX enhanced picture for immersive picture and sound and HDR, and it is absolutely stunning. And it is Angry Birds 2. Yep, the film itself is quite good, if I'm honest. I think it's a very watchable film. The picture quality is amazing. It's the best I've ever seen, and I know I've got a few other ones on 4K which I haven't watched, like Toy Stories. They might surpass this, but I've got a feeling that this one will probably stay in the top 10 for quite a while. It's amazing. The sharpness and the colours of the picture is just unreal. So I highly recommend this if you can track it down. So coming in at number 5 is Alita, Battle Angel. Now I always wanted to see this because of I'm quite a fan of robots and all that type of stuff, and the CGI was interesting to us. A lot of people said they didn't like the film, but I thought the film was really good, and I also thought that the performance of the lead character, even though it's just computer generated, is quite good, and the detail to the girl's face is just unreal, and the story itself is quite good, and I would love them to make a sequel of this, but picture quality in it is pretty stunning. And it's not really, sometimes if you've got something that's CGI heavy, you lose a bit of that quality on it, but I found that this one really doesn't lose any quality for me, and I found that this was one of the best picture qualities of this type of format that I've seen, live action and CGI. Now this one here, when it was announced, was obviously, it was a no-brainer to upgrade, but I'm glad they did a good version of it. And of course, with it being the director who it is, that you wanted it done in a way that you thought, especially Warner Brothers, they could do that. They have done it with other releases. So that is at number 4. That is The Shining. Great film. Kubrick, well, that needs no explanation, and it is just looks basically like it was shot yesterday. I do feel that the picture quality, sometimes some old films can do with being grainy or that. I don't mind grain at all, but this one was just pin sharp for me, and I liked it that way. I liked the fact that it was a bit more warmer than the Blu-ray, but I don't think that's a problem. Even though it's a cold film, the fact it was taken in the Overlook Hotel, which is basically in the wilds, in the freezing cold, but I think that benefits it. For me, it did. I didn't mind it at all, and yes, that is a massive upgrade from the previous Blu-ray. So speaking of upgrades from the previous release, this one here, although I've had this one in numerous formats, and I've always liked it, and I've always been a fan of the colours in it, and for me it's the most colourful horror film that was ever made, and it's been given a star treatment by Synapse, and it is Suspiria. Now, the colours on this are amazing. Anybody who's ever had it will say the same thing, that this is just, it's the best one it's ever looked, it's ever probably going to look. The colours are unreal. I don't know how he got the effects of some of the colours Argento, but he did. And to get a release of it, you've got to go for this release, because everything else you're missing out. If you don't pick this particular release, you're missing out on a big colour palette that needs to be visited in this way. And for me, it is the best looking horror film on the 4K format for me. So number 2 is a film that I didn't really enjoy before, and I never gave it its sort of I didn't have much time for it in a way. I didn't understand that was the main thing, but these days I don't mind if a film doesn't make too much sense. I'm a big fan of David Lynch. Ooh, imagine a Razorhead on 4K. You never know. Fingers crossed. So I revisited this again, knowing that it had an exceptional picture quality. It'd been on a lot of YouTube videos saying how good this was, so it was a no-brainer to get this. I got this probably very close after buying my 4K player, and it is 2001 Space Odyssey. Now, it is, well, it's stunning. All the top 10 for me, in my opinion, are brilliant. They're amazing. The visual treats when you put them on. You will get something out of them, maybe something out of, like this film. I never understood it, and I never really got Blade Runner, but after watching it in this format, I found it really enjoyable, even though I didn't understand it. I'm not going to say that I did, but I found it, and it's an amazing. Sometimes 4Ks might not have the best of you know, the packaging, but this packaging is exceptional in here. Hope that can pick that up for you. And obviously everything's highly recommended on this list, but for me 2001 is probably the best, one of the best, well, in my opinion, the second best movie that I've got in 4K. Now for number 1, this this is another one that I've owned for on lots of different mediums, and always, usually when it comes out on DVD, I think that looks pretty good. It come out in Blu-ray, that looks brilliant. But when it come out in 4K, I knew if they'd done it right, it would have surpassed all the other ones, and of course it does. And for me, this is the best looking 4K that I own in my collection at the minute. Bearing in mind, I've still got a lot more to watch, and this list could change quite a lot in the next couple of months. This month you've got coming Jaws and Zombie from America, but it's Zombie Flesh Eaters in the UK, and I'm quite sure that those would find their way into the top 10, because the top 10 is always changing, depending if some film comes in that's better than other ones, it gets put in the top 10, and the other ones slide down a bit. That doesn't mean to say they're bad, but that's just the way I do it. So number 1 is Grease. It's everything about it for me. The sound, the picture quality, the colours, it's pin sharp, the pictures pop, the HDR is unreal on it, and for me, you would never ever see, you put this on, it's a demonstration disc, most of them are actually, but you put this on for somebody who's used to your average Grease disc or presentation, and they'll be blown away by this. Okay, so that's my top 10. I plan to do quite a few more videos on other things, but this has been the first one that I put out on YouTube to be a review video, and I would like to thank you all for watching, and you would like you to please subscribe and click like, leave a comment if you want. Do you agree with them? That's my personal. Do you think that something should be way up on the list, or do you think that something should be way down on the list? I'll appreciate any feedback that you have. Okay, so thank you and take care.